What do Falcons do? Rise up. Welcome to Rise Up Reactions, the show where we talk all things Falcons, NFL, Georgia sports, and in general the sports news of the day. I'm your host, Dr. Lee Denning. I'm a board-certified family medicine physician practicing in the state of Georgia. So today, we're leading into the NFL draft here in just a couple of days. And I just wanted to really quick go through what literally everybody else in the world who covers sports is doing and go through a mock draft with you guys real quick. Now, certainly there are going to be some trades that nobody can predict. I really am only going to predict one trade because I know that the New York Giants in particular have been trying to get rid of one of their top 7 picks and get some capital for the future. So with that in mind, that's probably one of the only trades that I'm going to do, and I'm going to pretty much stick to the current draft order. I do expect there to be at least 3 or 4 moves in the actual night, but as far as what we know, what information we have right now, this is how I predict it's going to go. And there's a couple of wild things that are going to happen here, but again, it just all depends on who is taken, how the teams feel about their needs, and we'll just kind of go from there. So right out the gate, Jacksonville, they have the number 1 overall pick. There's been a lot of talk that they're either going to take Trayvon Walker out of UGA or Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan. Now, if they do Trayvon Walker, I think that throws a complete kink in the draft, and I think it's just the wild, wild west from there on out. Now, if they take Aiden Hutchinson, I think it follows a lot more linear path. So this time, I would give them about an 80% shot of taking him. So I'm going to give them Aiden Hutchinson. The Lions, a lot of people think they need a quarterback. I agree, but I don't think they need it number 2 overall this year. I'm going to go ahead and say that Kayvon Thibodeau, edge rusher, something that they direly need, is going to be the guy that they take, even though a lot of drafts have him falling off. They could just as easily take somebody like Derek Stingley or Kyle Hamilton. But I'm going to go ahead and give them credit and say that they take a potential game-breaking edge rusher and somebody that could help them this coming season be better on defense. Next, we have the Texans. And again, the Texans need literally every position. I would argue they don't need a quarterback this year. They should run with Davis Mills this coming year and see what they've got in him. But I think they're going to take the best tackle available to protect their asset because they were, I think, 30th overall for Pro Football Focus grades on the offensive line last year. So they're going to take Evan Neal at tackle, which will be their long-term solution to Larry Tunsil, so they don't have to pay him a ton of money and let his contract expire. Following that up, you have the Jets. They're picking 4th overall, and then they have a 10th pick overall as well. I don't know if they will trade out of either one of them, but there's been a lot of talk that they need a corner because they were pretty abysmal in the secondary last year. Now, in that division, you have the Patriots getting Devontae Parker from the Miami Dolphins. You have Tyreek Hill going to the Miami Dolphins and the emergence of Jalen Waddle. And then you have Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen as a quarterback receiver threat out of Buffalo. So they need help in the secondary, and they're going to take Ahmad Sauce Gardner, 4th overall out of Cincinnati. Then this leaves the Giants with an interesting decision. Do they try and trade their 5th overall pick? Do they try and trade the 7th overall pick? And what do they do if they make those decisions? I think that they try to go ahead and take Akim Ekwonu out of North Carolina State with 5 overall. And then you're left with Carolina. Carolina, I do think, is going to take a quarterback. A lot of people think they're going to take Kenny Pickett. I think they should take Malik Willis because I think he has the most upside of the quarterbacks that are in this draft class. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give them Malik Willis. Pick number 7. This is where I think something interesting happens. The Seattle Seahawks have the number 9 overall pick in this draft, and they have 2 back-to-back picks in the early part of the 2nd round. I predict that they trade their 9th overall and their 3rd round, number 72 overall, plus some unspecified late round pick or mid round pick in 2023 to move up to the Giants' number 7 spot, and at that point take Kenny Pickett before the Falcons have a chance to take a quarterback. Now, I don't think the Falcons should, but I would be more than happy to see Seattle do this because then it gives us a wide variety of options we can do. Now, what do I think we'll do? What I think we should do, we really should take our edge rusher here. Again, Trayvon Walker, some people have him going in the top 5. He's still available in this mock, and I say we take him. Another guy that we should potentially look at would be Charles Cross. And again, in this draft, you still have Derek Stingley and Kyle Hamilton at corner and safety available, who may be top 5 picks overall. It's just, this is going to be a really strange draft this year. But those are guys that all could go. I'm going to go ahead and say we take Trayvon Walker. So following that up, the New York Giants would then have the number 9 pick overall, which I think they'll take George Karlaftis out of Purdue as an edge rusher, as the best edge rusher left on the board at that point. And then the Jets, they do need receiver help to kind of match everything that I've already talked about. I think they go Garrett Wilson, number 1 receiver off the board. He's ready to go right now. He doesn't have a lot of injury history, and I think it would be a great pick. Now, Washington Commies, they're going to go best available at this point and beef up their offensive line with Charles Cross out of Mississippi State. And then I think you're going to go best available here for the next few picks with number 12 overall. You've got the Minnesota Vikings. They were abysmal in the secondary, and you still have Derek Stingley available. I think he goes here at 12. Follow that up with the Texans, who have the 13th overall pick. Again, they need everything. They could trade out of this pick and get some more draft capital later on. But if they take somebody here, I think they have to go Kyle Hamilton. Again, a guy who may be the overall best player in this draft, but it's just fallen down a few pegs on the draft board here. Baltimore needed help in the secondary last year. You have a top 15 guy in Trent McDuffie out of Washington as a corner available at this point. So 14, they go Trent McDuffie. And then I think Philadelphia does something interesting. They have a lot of needs, and wide receiver is not necessarily one of them, but they did take Devonta Smith last year, and I think they pair him up with Drake London. And then you have arguably one of the best receiver duos potentially in their division. Definitely would put them at the same level or potentially above the Cowboys. Would be above the New York Giants for sure, and would probably be above the Commanders if Terry McLaurin doesn't play this year. Now, the Saints have made a few moves to get back into the first round this year with the pick 16 and 19 overall. With pick 16, Jameson Williams is available at this point, and I think they take him. Michael Thomas, I don't think he plays for them anymore, and I don't know what they're going to do with him. He has a massive contract that I don't know if a lot of teams are going to take, but I think they move on from him and pick up Jameson Williams, who, again, this is a very deep first round for wide receivers. Any of these guys could emerge as the best receiver in this class. So just to move along, because I don't have a lot of time here, Jordan Davis is a guy that I am huge on. And if the Falcons did trade back into the middle rounds with, say, the Eagles, the Chargers, he's somebody that I would want to target. And I do think the Chargers, who were terrible on the defensive line last year, will beef up their nose tackle and take Jordan Davis, and then you pair him with Khalil Mack, and all of a sudden they are a deadly defensive line in the AFC West. Follow that up. Nakobe Dean is a guy that I do like, and I'm not sure he could go in the top 10 or kind of that top 15 area. In this draft, I do have him falling to the Philadelphia Eagles, taking best available linebacker at that point. Again, a UGA beast who was really a team captain this past year and was virtually in on every play. Now, the Saints also need offensive line. They were one of the worst graded offensive lines last year. I think they go with Bernard Raymond out of Central Michigan with that 19th overall pick, assuming they don't trade. Which then, I think that's best case scenario for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who need to replace an all-pro center, and they really just need to beef up their offensive line in general. So Tyler Linderbaum is available at this point, big boy out of Iowa, and I think they do take him at center, and he's projected to be a first-rounder, so I think he fits really well. So urinating tree, if you see this at any point in time, I think you would be happy with that pick. Moving on, the New England Patriots, historically they trade out of the first round. And they certainly could here. Just kind of looking back, the Falcons are a team that may want to trade back into this spot. And again, take somebody. We do have some early capital in the second round, as well as 2 second-round picks, 2 third-round picks. It's something that we certainly could do to get back in the first round. Just because of the rules that I've set with just having the one trade, I'm going to go ahead and have them take Devin Lloyd out of Utah at linebacker as the next best available player to fit their needs. I also was considering them taking a wide receiver here. But Bill Belichick has not had a good track record with taking wide receivers in the first round, so I'm just going to play it a little safer and go linebacker there, which opens the door for the frackin' Green Bay Packers. And one of the guys that I'm really inspired by to do this show, Tom Grassi, I think he would be proud of this pick. They are going to go Chris Olavey out of Ohio State University, and again, a guy who could be the best receiver in this class if he's in the right situation, and I can't imagine a better situation than ending up with Aaron Rodgers for the next 3 years of his career. So moving on from that, assuming the Packers don't trade up, they are a candidate to potentially try and trade up into pick number 7 overall, but they would have to give up both of their first-round picks this year, I believe, to do that. But 23rd overall, you have the Arizona Cardinals. Best available player, again, they were not particularly good on the defensive interior, so I think Devonta Wyatt finds a beautiful home here out of Georgia. And again, he's going to bring use to that defensive line. He's going to end up probably being one of the defensive rookie of the year candidates. But again, just a big body guy who absolutely is going to bull rush you and cause the quarterback to have pressure every time in a pretty tough division. So that's something that I think they need. The Dallas Cowboys, they really need to get back to beefing up their offensive line. I'm going to go ahead and give them Tyler Smith out of Tulsa. Big body tackle that they really probably could use and develop. He's a guy who is kind of a fringe first rounder, but we're starting to get kind of thin, and that's an area where I feel like they really need help. Now, this is kind of a surprise as I was going through this. Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State is a guy that I'm pretty high on, but just the way this draft fell, I think he's going to fall down a little bit if he's not taken by, say, the Falcons early on. So as an edge rusher out of Florida State, I think the Buffalo Bills, even though some people say they need linebacker, there's some people say they need wide receiver, I don't know that they for sure do, and there's still a lot of time for them to make some free agent moves. I'm going to go ahead and give them Jermaine Johnson as the best available player at that point and just beef up that defense in what appears to be a tougher division this next year. The next one, we have the Titans, and they're going to need wide receiver help. There's a lot of talk that A.J. Brown is unhappy, and they've already moved on from Julio, which is looking better for the Falcons in retrospect because he did not have a good year last year. But I'm going to go ahead and do something controversial here, and I'm going to say that George Pickens does get picked in the first round as the next best receiver off the board over somebody like Treylon Burks. And they just roll with him, and they say, hey, we're going to take a chance on this guy who has potentially physically more talent and who's only getting healthier from an ACL injury that he suffered at the beginning of the 2021 college season. Moving on, one of my favorite late-round guards in the draft is Kenyan Green out of Texas A&M. I do think 27, you're going to have Tampa Bay looking to bolster their offensive line. They need to keep Brady healthy as he's going to be one of the oldest, if not the oldest players in the league. So they need to keep him upright. So I think they take Kenyan Green to bolster that offensive line. Combined with what they've done in the last couple of years to beef up the line, I think this is a perfect move, and it's really going to help them overall. Then you get the Green Bay Packers' second pick. And Tom, if you get a chance to see this, I think you're going to be so happy with me. I'm giving them not one, but 2 first-round wide receivers. They are going to take the best available on the board and take Treylon Burks, primarily so that in about 4 years they have the opportunity to exercise the 5th-year option on both of these guys, whoever ends up being the better talented receiver. And I think both of these guys are probably better than anything that's currently on the Packers. So I'm going to give them Treylon Burks, who I still think is a first-round talent. Then you have 2 picks back-to-back by Kansas City, 29 and 30 overall. Best available corner at this point, which they do need, is Andrew Booth out of Clemson. I'm going to give them to them. And then they're going to be really upset that the Packers took Treylon Burks because they were going to be counting on him for one of their picks. They're going to take Sky Moore as a flyer since they are losing Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins. They're going to take him there and hope that he's good. Cincinnati Bengals, they need one thing and one thing only, which is offensive line. They're going to take Trevor Penning, who is kind of a guy that's been emerging as a big boy, amazing pick coming out of northern Iowa. So he should provide a lot of additional help to keep, who plays from their quarterback upright? I just can't say it at this point. Joe Burrow. And then, finally, with the pick from the LA Rams for Matthew Stafford, you have the Lions. And I think this, if they're going to take a quarterback, this is where they do it. Sam Howell is still on the board. It makes sense to take a quarterback in the first round for one reason only this year. So that you potentially, if they turn into something, have that 5th-year option available. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen. Sam Howell gets taken 32nd overall, and that would close out the first round. But, let me know what you think in the comments below. Did I miss anything? Am I crazy on some of these picks? Do you think it goes a little bit different? I would love to hear your thoughts. If you liked the video, hit the like button and consider subscribing. Going to help the channel out a lot. And as always, what the Falcons do, rise up.